Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. Rasha, have you been to Yogyakarta or anywhere in
I've
Central
been
Java?
to, and actually I'm going this end of month for a
Really?
wedding.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
But if you ever actually drive or you're on the roads there, do you ever notice that the street signs are actually written in both alphabets, but there's scripture underneath as well?
I think I saw those like writings,
Yeah.
but I think now that I'm going there, I'll definitely pay more attention.
Yeah, me too. I've always noticed it was there, some of the road
Yeah.
signs, but I've never really kind of put any thought as
Yeah.
to what I knew it was related to what was written above, but because I don't understand what it means, I just read what it's written in the alphabet.
Exactly.
Well, joining us this beautiful morning on a Saturday is Widi Kusuma Wardani from Tlatah Waktu, who is going to share some insights and lessons about that Javanese script that we read on those road signs. Good morning, Mawidi. Hi.
Morning.
Thank you for
How
joining
are
us here
you?
today.
Yeah, thank you for having us in here.
All right. So first of all, before we start talking about Javanese script, well, tell us a little bit about Tlatah Waktu.
Okay, so Tlatah Waktu is basically a small community
Okay.
that started in 2018. So it started with two of us, me and my colleague Sasti. So we graduated in Javanese literature.
All right.
And then we would like to, after we graduate, we would like to share our experience and knowledge that we have studied in university. So that we have the same concern that maybe we should start to make it more public about Javanese literature. But actually, in the big picture, we wanted to make that Nusantara is a very diversity and wonderful culture. So we would like to share it to Indonesia people that we have to proud of ourselves, our identity. So we have the strong roots for it. So yeah, it's more or less like that.
Nice.
That's great to hear.
So real quick,
Right.
how has interest grown? Because 2018 to now,
Yeah.
this will be your fourth year. How much has the community grown since?
It's we started with a video documentary,
Okay.
and then we feel like it's not quite enough to spread more people to can interact with us. So start in the pandemic, 2019, yeah,
Well, 20, early 20, yeah.
2020. Yeah, we feel like we stuck to create something, and then most of people also feel stuck in their physically activities. So we wanted to provide a space, place that they can share interest and issues about arts and culture in Javanese precisely. So yeah. I don't know that that is a good part in pandemic, so we have that thought. So we've grown pretty gradually up since the pandemic, and then yeah, we feel like I think we need more space like this, like small
Sure.
space but virtually, but we can still share our stories from that platform.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of stories of people as well where they started their business or visual space, as you mentioned, on Instagram. So it has definitely been some benefit
Yeah,
to the
it's a time
pandemic.
for it.
And you mentioned earlier that there are two divisions in your company, in your organization, the marketing and program. Can you share with us what kind of programs do you actually provide for the community?
Yeah, so we have like regularly program and then monthly or occasionally events. So we have class to learn about Javanese traditional alphabets like Hono Choroko,
Okay.
that you guys mentioned in the first place that you can see in the Yogyakarta streets or Solo. And then we have Bahasa language Javanese class. Two of them is our regular program. And then we have like workshops for to wear kain, batik, jarik, like I wear right now.
Right.
And then sanggul, the traditional hair for women's Javanese. And then also like we have a discussion group about books and then about people, Javanese diaspora, like in Suriname and then in South Africa, more or less like that.
Could you confirm for us, because we heard from our colleague, I don't know how accurate this is today,
Yeah.
but if you were born in Central Java, specifically in Yogyakarta, and you grew up going to school, elementary school, did you learn some of this Javanese script as part of a school curriculum?
Yeah. I heard from my friends and my relatives
Yeah.
who lives in Central Java or East Java. They still learn
Okay.
the alphabets Javanese language in their school until I think junior high school.
Okay, so at least they
Yeah.
have like a base foundation
Yeah.
to start on for you to work with. How do you garner interest from people that haven't grown up with this at all and it's absolutely new to them? What is your strategy in order to, hey, this is something that you should learn because it's part of your heritage and it's something that is of cultural importance for people?
Yeah, so we have not strategy, but it started with stories, our private stories, because each person has its stories that they have connection with their past or their memory.
Right.
And then we want to touch on that part because most of them, they started living and born in Java East or Central Java, and then they grow up in Jakarta. So we wanted to, like, they are a space that you can feel like it's still home. So, or they wanted to know more about their family trees or their grandparents, ancestor. So we want to provide that as well. Started with learning the bahasa first, the language, and the alphabets.
Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe they can search for themselves after they know the basic first.
Yeah.
Like-
It's like getting back in touch with your roots.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like that your approach is from stories because everybody can relate to stories instead of just a very obvious marketing scheme,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And also, just very curious, from your point of view, why is it so important for people living in this digital era, probably like living abroad, like outside Indonesia, to learn about their root language?
Yeah, it's very important that when you know your roots, your identity self, it's you can finally know what you will going to do in the future
Right.
based on where is your roots, what's the feel your true identity.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you have to be classic all the time. You have to be follow what their ancestors do because in digitally time and space is dynamic, right?
Yeah.
So we
Right.
have to together move with the time and space, but we still be in that route.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I've,
very
I've always heard a term, my friends coined a term, you have to know your past in order to know your future. And I think
Yeah,
that really,
yeah,
really
that's
holds
so
its
true.
significant
Yeah.
Yep.
importance.
I totally agree.
But do you have challenges when you have to like find someone to teach these things? Because not everyone is so well versed in this as well. I mean, I'm sure you are, but the two of you that started this foundation. But as you grow, do you find it challenging in order to find the proper educators or lecturers when it comes to teaching traditional writings and culture?
Yes. We are fortunate because we started in our college, our university.
Right.
So we have relation. We have some of friends that we know that they can teach, and then our teacher as well. So
You have a
yeah.
network of people that you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, we believe in them, and they believe with our issues. So yes.
So I have an experience learning a different language with different alphabet, you can say, which is Chinese when
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
in high school.
I guess we have the same background.
So I wanted to ask you, what would be an interesting thing that people will, experience when they learn this language? You can share some of your students' experience, maybe.
Yeah, for the precisely in the Javanese alphabets, okay? So some of them tell us the story that when they started to study in our program, learning Javanese alphabet, they feel like it's more calming. Even though the shape, maybe it's little bit, it's not familiar shape, so they have to more think to start to write. But actually, when we started to flow with our hands and then we focus on our mind, it's like naturally from our body also, it's just like a flow movement. So
Okay.
it makes calm sensation.
Okay.
And then some of people also like they have their new hobby. Like they make the alphabet Javanese for recipe or spices in their home and then put it.
Because it looks so
on
nice
place.
too, right? When you
Yeah,
put
it
it
looks
up, right.
aesthetic as well. And maybe some of them also shares a little bit private sensitive story about they wanted to know what their grandparents or ancestors lived the letters. So
Right.
they have their old letters that's in Javanese alphabets, and then they just wanted to know what is the title is.
Right.
So,
And then,
right. No, it's interesting, right? Because people are scrolling through their social media when they, have time. But actually, you can find a hobby that is therapeutic for you and can help you to learn about your roots, like learning.
This isn't
Japanese.
therapeutic at all. Actually, sometimes you can argue it's a waste of time. Now, these traditional scriptures are not, they're native to Central Java and it's Javanese, but I've read that it's actually now, it's been used to develop other regional languages as well, including like Sundanese for one, right? Because Hans mentioned as well some of the road signs in Bandung as well.
Yeah.
How is that developed? Like how is it that it's become used in other regions over the years?
Right.
I think in each region they have their own alphabets,
Okay.
traditional alphabets, right? And then they just wanted to show the authentic from the region. So they use it for the sign streets,
Right.
and then they also use it for brand products,
Right.
more or like that. And then because of the aesthetic parts,
Right.
and then they use it for their product. Yeah, so
It does look beautiful. I can
It
imagine if you
is,
create
it
a company
is.
name and you make a logo, you just have to
Yeah.
make it in that traditional letter.
Yes.
So we're going to ask you, because it does look beautiful, we want to learn a little bit about how to
Yep.
do it. I don't know how well we're going to be able to do it. But
Okay.
what we're going to learn today is letters, is it? Is
Yes,
it an alphabet
letters.
system? Is that how it works? Or is it how it sounds, phonetic?
So it's not like alphabets A, B, C.
Right.
It's like per syllabus.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
there's going to be a lot of them then.
Well, I hope we're not going to learn them all
Okay.
today one day.
Yeah.
It's gonna, but we are going to try
Okay.
some. We're going to put some examples here on our screen, and I believe I'm going to try. And perhaps you can coach me along as to
Okay.
some tips and tricks as to how to properly do it. So first of all, what do we need to know when we start learning how to write these?
We have to know the basic of the letters,
Okay.
and then when we wanted to know what we wanted to write, we have to know the what you call it, when you wanted to have a words.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some, you can use these as examples.
Yeah, this one you have to know the shape first.
Okay.
And then you have, even though you couldn't remember it, you can just pick it and
Right,
then,
have a
yeah,
reference.
at least you know how to write it first.
Okay. So, for example, these is what you would use to put together to form a word, per se.
Yeah.
Can you use can you give an example from some of this?
Yeah, maybe simple shape like so, sa. You can pronounce it so because in
So.
Javanese like hono coroko, doto sawolo, podo joyonyo, moko potongo. It's like that.
So
you pronounce it.
you pronounce A with sort of like O.
Yeah.
Okay, when you say Hona Choroko, it refers to this basically in
Yes.
the system. All right.
Yeah.
Is this the entire thing or is there more? Just the basic.
The basic.
This is the basic ones. Okay. So when you put together words or scripts, then you're combining these together in order to create. All right. We're going to let's try to go to the next screen where we will try to write some of these. I hope they're not going to give us examples that are too difficult. So this would be pronounced
Siti.
Siti, exactly how it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does this mean?
Siti is a name, or in Javanese language is a land.
Oh,
Okay. So perhaps could you give us, first of all, I'm going to ask you to give your version of how you would write this. I know we don't have the wide and thin.
Okay.
But you can just do your
It's
best with your
okay.
finger. But
Okay,
perhaps you
I'll
could show us
try.
how to do it, and then I will try as well.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I want to see that one.
Start it from the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah, and then this is one. It's you can just pronounce it as so, but
Okay.
if you add this, it pronounced I.
Okay.
So city.
this is the
But it's
hard.
kind of like Arabic when you have like
A little
the-
bit, yeah. I get that kind of vibe as well. Okay.
And this, when you didn't put the I,
We-
so it's
To.
sito.
Sito, right?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Ah, okay.
And then if you wanted to follow that example, so you have to edit this.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Beautiful, by the way. So let
you.
me give it a try.
Yes.
All right. It seems simple, but until you actually try to do it. So here we go. We'll try with the C.
So usually when people start to first learn about it, what do they do? Do they actually just write for each syllabi and so for them to memorize it better, or they just memorize it without trying to make the shape?
Yeah. We have to.
Okay, so sorry
Often
about that.
started-
We can
yes.
see Paul's first.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Looks a
not
little
that bad.
wild, I know.
Yeah, but
Nice.
I mean, like considering this is your first time.
Yes.
Paul.
It's nice for the first time.
Yeah, not bad at all. All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Do we have another example here, or do you want to give it a try? Why don't you give it a try?
All right.
All right. I want to see how well someone who has a bit of Chinese calligraphy background, perhaps. Here. There you go.
All right. So you can continue to.
Don't get nervous.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to talk. We're just going to watch you make you nervous. How long does it generally take for someone to learn something like this over time, like this, the progression?
Actually, if you wanted to know how to read the whole script and write,
Right, to be
it's,
familiar.
Yeah, so it's around 4 years, 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but you have to be focused on that and practice more.
Sure,
like
sure.
that.
Practice makes
Yeah.
perfect.
There you go.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's perfect as well.
Oh, this is. You said it's.
It's a bit in this part, like when you write the Javanese alphabet, it has to be connected to each other, so there's no
In which part is
This
that?
part.
this one. So you have to be like
okay.
two, and
Oh,
then
I
this one.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
see, I misread that as well. So there you go. So
Oh, yeah,
I did
yeah,
the
I
same
didn't
thing
see
as
that.
I did the same thing as well. I didn't exactly join the line.
Ah, yeah.
But
Okay.
maybe that's why it's very therapeutic because you need to actually always continue the flow.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, in regards to this, I noticed there's some parts that are quite narrow and some parts that are wider. Is there a special writing instrument that is used, perhaps like a brush back in the day? Because a brush you can easily do that with, right? You can use a pointed tip, but then you can press down more to make the wider. Is there a specific writing instrument or tool?
Actually, yes, but it's depend on the person. So if you just wanted to write like normal like this, yeah, we can still do it like nowadays. But it's because that kind of shape we can get it from application Word.
Nowadays
but
it's so
yeah, so you just type it or download an application
Okay.
like that.
All right, let us do one more because this is fun. And it is therapeutic, by the way. It's
Yeah.
very relaxing. Here we go. Let's try to put up one more. Hopefully we've got another one on deck. And this time I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask you to go first, Rasha.
All right.
Do I need to flip this or is somebody going to do it for me? I don't know yet. We don't do this very often, so you can tell. I believe it's going to be from the studio. They're
Okay,
going to
yeah,
try to put it up for us.
All right. So I was actually asking you about when a person started to learn about this, what is activity
Sorry.
that they learn the first time? Is it like, okay, oh my God, I think you can.
Well, we did want,
Yeah.
we said we were going to step it up a little
All right,
bit.
you can
Wait,
explain
before
it to Paul
be-
and I mean
Okay.
try
Not
to
in.
figure out.
This is Bagas.
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 It's also a name, right?
It's also
I've
a
heard that name. Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
Mas
All right.
Bagas. There you go.
Okay.
Mbak Rasha, if you please.
Thank you, Mas Paul.
So it's like Mbak Rasha to
Oh, sorry.
first time to see Bagas written like this.
This
Yeah.
is my first time, and I didn't expect that
I
it
didn't
would
think,
be so
something
long.
so simple could be so long, right?
Yeah. So it's first impression for most of people. It's like that as well. Like wow, they look similar to one another. So how they can write it differently?
Right.
So yeah, it has to be. You have to oftenly read about it
Sure.
and practice more. So it's like that for the first time.
I also noticed that, like in our alphabet, the S is basically just one letter. In fact, you don't even have to lift your pen off the page. But here, the S sound is actually one of the more complicated ones. It
Yeah.
involves like several, and you have to, there's two different parts of it as well.
Yeah, because in the first page that we know that pronounced Hono Choroko, right? And then because of Bagas, as it's not pronounced Sa, we have to like put it a dot on it. So it
Right.
sounds
Oh.
like us, only us.
If you put a dot, then it will be sa.
Yeah,
I see.
we can call it Pangkon. So Pangkon has its philosophy as well, like
Right.
when you just not cuddle them, like you make people comfort Pangku, they will be like do it what you wanna do. Like
I see,
they
okay.
just like okay.
They'll conform to what you
yeah.
want. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go, Russia, a rendition of
Okay.
Bagas.
How did I do? Mbak?
Yeah, that sounds nice. It's very
thank
clear. Like yeah.
So I actually have a question when I did did it. What I noticed is the space, you know, between like the first line and the second line. This one as well. Does it really matter, or you can actually make it as wide as you can, or you know, as your handwriting?
Oh, like you mean the difference
Yeah,
between this and this?
Is it like have to be like this exactly, or?
It just depends on when you started to write. Has to be consistent to the space
Right.
like that, and then actually from one word to the next word, it's not have a space. So
Okay.
it's just connected and just have some space like one
Right.
alphabet to another.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right. But it
Russia's
needs
a
to
bit
be-
of a
It needs to be consistent.
Right. Let me give it a try.
All right.
I don't want
Go
to.
on.
I want to challenge Russia's work here. Let me see.
All right.
Yeah.
So actually, there's another question that I would like to ask as well. Does Javanese script has the same roots, let's say, with other languages in Southeast Asia, like for example Thailand? Because I also see this like handwriting. Is it actually the same, and or come from the same roots?
Actually not, but it's more like from Palawa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from Palawa is the from the first roots, and then gradually like there's a some of
Development.
develop, yeah, more simple, more into now like that, and then yeah, this is called
I thought the
Jawa
same thing
Baru.
too. There is a few
Right?
similarities
We were,
as well.
we were
in the
talking
letters.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is very like consistent, Paul.
I tried
like
to
this
make
space.
it,
Okay,
yeah.
But it's a little bit bigger space in here.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I mistimed it a bit. I was like, I wanted to make each one wide, and then I figured I'm going to run out of space here, so I
okay.
had to kind of squish. It's like a 5-year-old writing, I know. What do you think?
it's
Is it
fine.
illegible? Yes?
Yeah, it's fine. You can read it.
Right.
So it is very challenging. However, it is very relaxing.
Yep.
It is very extensive.
Yep.
However, not impossible. You just need to put in
Yeah.
the time and
Exactly.
put in the effort.
Yeah, that's
And just think about, maybe for a lot of Muslims, think about it as like learning Arabic, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's also
True.
a bit similar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
many are
yeah,
very
that's
familiar as
right.
well.
Yes.
in Indonesia. Thank you so much for your time
you.
here and
Thank
sharing
you so
with
much
us
for
more
having
knowledge
us.
on Javanese script. We
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
that more people will take interest in, because it is a very important part of our culture and our heritage as well as Indonesians.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, guys, it's time to take a short break here, but we have more updates from around the world and some recaps as well in case you're just joining us from some of our top stories today. Stay with us here on the C Morning Show. We'll be right back after this.